I'm Shaina Kasper. I'm the community organizer with Toxics Action Center, based in Montpelier, but do work all throughout Vermont and New Hampshire. And I'll explain a little bit more about kind of what we do and everything else. But in general, we work side by side community groups to clean up and prevent pollution. We're doing the wide organization, been around for 28 years. We try to help folks solve problems. So we've worked with some watershed type groups in the past, but not with this kind of official Watershed United Vermont. So I want to just be able to share some services that we can offer and see if anyone would be interested in something like those.
Hi, sorry, I'm on the funny angle here. I'm Shelagh Cooley. I'm the coordinator of Common Good Vermont. We're a project of CCTV, Chittenden Community Television in Burlington. We're the statewide resource for nonprofits. So most states have a membership organization like an association, but we decided to go the non-member route and just help any and all nonprofits that need it. So I'll talk more about the resources we have available and ways that we work for capacity building. For the non-technical piece, but more of the operations and the management.
Is that the Channel 15 she was talking about
Channel
earlier?
17.
Channel 17.
Yes, exactly.
Do we have anything that reaches southeastern Vermont?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do trainings all over the state.
I meant a television.
Oh, southeastern, yeah, you have, there's public access in Brattleboro, I believe.
Okay, BCTV.
Yeah, so we have what's called a Vermont Media Exchange, VMX, and so everything we produce goes up there and everything everyone else produces, and we all share with a nice little exchange program going on.
Great.
Through the interactive TV, are you talking about?
Not through interactive, it's separate. Just any of the public access stations. I think there's about 28 public access stations in Vermont, which is one of the most per capita in the country.
How long have you guys been around?
Coming to Vermont, we're going into our 7th year.
Okay.
You might know VANPO before.
Oh, yeah.
So they, as Vermont Access Network's nonprofit organization in Vermont. Vermont.
Yeah, it's okay.
Nonprofit. Something I've heard of.
Sounds kind of convoluted.
Yeah. And so they closed or died, and then Vermont Community Foundation put out an RFP for some other capacity building organizations.
Oh, okay.
That's how we came about.
Yeah, because I thought I remember when they went under that there was some connection with the Vermont Community Foundation. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, yeah, here's our agenda for what we're looking to go over today. So, just the quick overviews of the organizations and things we have to offer. We're going to go through like kind of more extended introductions to actually get an idea of like what you guys are looking for, and then go through more about us and have lots of opportunity to ask questions. So, Warren, you want to kick things off? Woo! Your name, where you're from, what's your watershed group, and then kind of the biggest problem that your group has been facing, and then your biggest hope for the group. And so I think this could be organizationally, you need to build group members, build board capacity, something like, more organizational group building. It could be programmatic, getting media, solving a problem. It could be scientific, needing to actually interpret test results or be able to use numbers and the science for your own benefit for your group. It could be fundraising. If you got anything else. Yeah.
Gloria Cristelli. I'm with the Southeastern Vermont Watershed Alliance. I'm located in Newfane, Vermont, which is 12 miles north of Brattleboro. And BCTV does film our select board meetings, so I know Ann Richards, who was part of starting that. And I would say, basically, it's the first two she mentioned. Funding, we're always without funds. And secondly, we have a lot of volunteers who will do water quality monitoring. They don't necessarily donate any money. And then secondly, we just don't have enough of our volunteers who are willing to take on some of the other programs that we'd like to do. Our mission is to restore and preserve the watershed through the communities and educating, and it just doesn't happen because we are always scrambling just to get the $7,000 to $10,000 that we need, excluding the La Rosa grant for our monitoring program. And we're into about our 12th year of getting data, and that all goes to agency of natural sources. Maureen, could you go?
Any kind of dreams or hopes for how you want us to have a seat?
I really appreciated Denise's comment this morning when I said, you know, three of the 4 board members are from Newfane, and we go all the way up to Williams River, as far north as Rockingham, and even a bit farther. To be able to get board members to come from, with a board member taking on maybe the responsibility of, okay, this one will look after the water quality monitoring, let's get the education piece. You spearhead that and try to get the volunteers matched up with, and have them give money. I mean, really, they go out very willingly every 2 weeks or 6 weeks, 6 times to get the samples.
But you don't have like a membership where they pay a yearly?
Right, we technically do, but since about 2009, it has really gone down the tubes.
And then, is your group doing any kind of advocacy work or looking to do more, I think, yeah, coming out of, especially what Kim was just saying, any kind of more political, regulatory, or legislative work moving forward?
I think for us, it's just that we're kind of burning out.
Yep.
And we just need to get a little more oomph back in there and get some new blood. All of us are willing to do, but we don't even have the funds to do a kind of a major mailing or so that just keeps coming out of my pocket or somebody else's pocket. When I listened to everything this morning with, somebody who's smarter than you and, this website guy just, 2 minutes was able to get, I took a course in Google so I could put together fledgling website that I don't have time to update, and it really isn't very dynamic, but it's there. And so, I don't know what this costs somebody like Denise. You have who can do it, and essentially 3 of the 4 of us are full-time jobs, and the 4th one goes to Florida for 6 months. Well, Right.
So my name is Laurie. I'm the president of the Friends of Waterbury Reservoir. Waterbury Reservoir is located in central Vermont, so part of the Winooski watershed. 99% of the Waterbury Reservoir is state-owned land. There's one private landowner. So if I were to say one thing that we need to accomplish, or my goal or dream, is to build capacity, both human and financial capacity. There's lots of great ideas of lots of things we can do. There's some priority setting that's underway. Everything that we consider an approach is always reflected against our vision and mission and core values, which I'm pretty married to. I'm very, very comfortable with those. I've got a lot of really smart people that I work with. I don't need to be a scientist. I have scientists that are on my board and my ambassadors whom I trust. Some of the technical stuff we've overcome. I think we've made some smart decisions on pretty usable, friendly websites and social media and stuff, and I've got people that help me with that. But as we try to support our mission and try to collaborate with our stakeholders, primarily the Agency of Natural Resources, the outdoor outfitters in the area who use this resource or need to be one of our partners, they need to be one of our advocates. The local property owners, the local realtors are a huge asset partner for us. The municipalities, there are 3 that surround the reservoir, the reservoirs either in or near. There's issues around the water quality naturally, invasive species, aquatic and terrestrial invasive species, user conflicts on water and on land. So there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to address, but it all comes back to capacity.
And so does it sound like you need help with taking this like technical and scientific expertise and interpreting it for building that capacity? Is
I
that?
think we need to step back from that and start collecting. We have one data collection project that's ongoing, and that's related to marine debris or trash.
Yep.
But in the state of Vermont does some water quality testing, but there's a lot more that we could learn and should learn and understand about the reservoir, both historically, ecologically, recreation impacts.
What about the tributaries or the streams?
There are several streams, there's a major river and several streams, some of which are unnamed that enter the reservoir.
Because I think that's part of what you really need to have looked into.
We have, essentially, it's me full-time, an area of full-time job, and 3 board members, all of whom are in their 70s and 80s, and a group of ambassadors who are really hardworking worker bees, but that most of them are on the board.
Yep.
So it all comes back to capacity.
And any kind of advocacy that you guys are doing as well, or either local.
The advocacy
state
work
level?
that we're doing is all around stewardship and leave no trace
Yep.
principles, and user conflict avoidance, especially motorboats and paddleboats on the water, and leave no trace both on water and on the land. The land, meaning the trails that are around or removed from the reservoir shores.
My name is Pat Vanna. I live in North Derby, Vermont, just about 500 yards from the Canadian border. My organization is the Memphremagog Watershed Association. I'm the secretary of that, and I'm fairly new to the organization. I'm retired, and I show up at meetings and take notes, and this is my first experience with going to any kind of thing outside our own board meetings and our own presentations. So I think that our group is always looking for funding. I know we have, the last couple of years, we have gotten grants. We have the stormwater grant that's in place for this year, and now looking for a continuation for next year. We have a lake that flows north, and so the MCI, which is the Memphremagog Conservation Group, they've got a big draw of population from Magog and Sherbrooke, and a very vital organization with, I want to say 3 employees, but I don't even know if that's true, and hundreds of members, I think. We have 128 members this year. I think our goal is 200 for this next year, but I think we're like MCI wannabes, they have a boat on the lake that patrols, and we have a volunteer organization, and although I'm new, and there's another couple of people on a 10-person board, we have 10 people plus 4 officers. There's people that have retired recently from that board that really did get burned out, and some that are maybe there that are still burned out. So we're trying to find a way to involve more people. Our membership is growing, but like the Beer for Buffers thing that was mentioned earlier today, that was something where we were trying to actually get our own members involved and seeing what we were doing, because we have lots of people that'll give, we have people that will give $25, $50, which is our membership is $25, but a lot of the they'll give 50 instead of 25, but they don't do anything, and so it's trying to get them involved. I think in the organization is another thing that we would like to work on, and we've been working on partnerships. We just got one with Ducks Unlimited, and they're going to auction off one of our rain barrels. Now that was a real popular thing last year, so we're going to keep doing that.
Now, I know you guys have been facing a lot of kind of blue-green algae threats and things like that. Have you been involved in any of the political advocacy or anything like that?
Our president went to whatever happened within the last month
Yeah.
with 2 or 3 other people.
Okay.
But I haven't really, spoken with her. She was on the board a long time ago, came back, now is full-time retired, full-time in the area. So I think she's going toward that. When she first got on to the board, she went to do publicity, and now she kind of got thrown into the presidency when Perry left. So anyway, I think that's in the works, yeah.
Doing more of that type of,
Doing more of that.
like I said, about
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, and so I also think that you guys have like a lot of great stories to tell kind of for that statewide effort too. That I think other people might be looking to drag you guys into the mix. So, yeah.
So I'm Ann with the Friends of the Winooski River. So sort of where we're at is we've been, I think, very successful at project development and getting project-specific funding and working partnerships around specific projects. I think we've got a really good track record of that we've built up over the past, 5 or 6, 7 years. And there's always going to be more that we can do. I mean, always. But that's on a good, strong trajectory. Where we're at is some of the things that have already been echoed here. One thing, we have to take what is some really solid on-the-ground successes, and we're really, really bad at PR, really bad. And that's me. That's, I'm a project manager by background. I don't know if people were here this morning when Ann said that, she wanted people to give profiles of themselves, and what they want to do is talk about their organization, what their organization did. She might as well have been talking to me, because I told her I wouldn't write a profile about myself. So I think we've got a good story to tell. When I tell people what we actually do on the ground, they're like, wow, that's great. But we're really, really bad at translating that into people really understanding what we do. So the communications thing that Denise did this morning to me was really important. And being able to tell our story about why the Winooski is important, and then why we are important to the Winooski, and why people should get engaged with us, which then brings the unrestricted money in. So, like everybody, I think we're interested in fundraising, but I'm not so much interested in grants as I am in figuring out how to get unrestricted money, whether that's from individual members, whether that's from business sponsorships, and to continue in advance, and to continue to grow that pool of funding. And then sort of related to that, and then I think the capacity building that Lori taught, I think it's up there twice, right? We're definitely thinking about that too. How do we get more people engaged, and trying to think about different ways to get volunteers, beyond coming to plant trees or pick up or do water quality sampling, but is to engage with us in different ways. And a lot of it, I think, is around, again, the communications, the media, that kind of outreach. A little bit more internally, is looking at sort of growing up as an organization. I always kind of have to laugh, is that we get referred to as a big group. And I work out of my home, and I'm part-time, and we have a part-time project manager who works out of her home. So it really says something about Vermont when we're classified as a big group. There's a lot of things internally that, I think we need to have, better financial, this is boring stuff, better financial controls, better processes at the board level. We're being forced, but I say this sort of in a good way, to adopt a conflict of interest policy, because the state is now going to be requiring that. So, those are the kinds of things we've been trying to pick off as we go along as well. So that's I guess that's sort of the context of where we are.
Cool.
I'd have to add to mine, the financial controls is critical for us. Right now, as the president, I'm the only one that's a signatory on my checking account for the nonprofit. That's bad.
Same with me.
That's just bad business.
Although
You know,
we-
writing checks to myself to reimburse myself, to no checks and balances, it's bad. I need,
You don't sign your own check.
I don't get paid, I'm a volunteer. I don't, yeah.
But if
She
she
just
buys
said you were
stuff, she
signing-
has to reimburse.
If I go, like before we had
Oh.
I was spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars before we even had a bank account for the NPO.
Mm.
And I wrote myself a check to Lori Smith, signed Lori Smith. That's bad. I need I mean, I know that I need it. I don't even have anybody to write financial reports for us that I'm going to need. That still falls into capacity, but it's fundamental.
And how big is your organization? Just real.
It's pretty loosely formed. I'm the president. I have 3 board members that
But
call
you don't have
themselves
like
board
regular
members.
member members.
No, we're a mission-driven organization. We don't have members. And I've got 5 or 6 people that I call ambassadors that are really like the core group of people that have worked with us for the last year and a half. That's it.
But you're a nonprofit.
We're a registered nonprofit with the state of Vermont, and we're just about to file our 501c3 application next
Great.
week. Next week.
Yeah.
I was
Thank
thinking
you, guys.
too about advocacy on the legislative side. We're sort of slowly putting our toes into that, and we will do it very selectively as to how we engage. You know, we're never going to have a strong presence at the state house. That's just. But what we do want to do is engage more with our legislators and not go over that line into lobbying. You know, for a number of reasons. One is the practical side of, you know, then having to do the paperwork associated with that. The other thing is I've had more than a handful of people say, what we really like about you guys is you do stuff. You know, and you don't necessarily, you aren't, I don't know the right phrase. Pardon me? Yeah, we're not necessarily really deep in the political stuff and sort of, so regardless of whatever winds are blowing in Montpelier, you know, we're sort of continuing on our same mission, you know, so.
And the Friends of Waterbury Reservoir shares that. We have been very determined not to take public positions on issues, but rather to fulfill our mission of engaging community partners and informing people. We actively engage the local community in trying to get people involved in the conversation about the Waterbury Dam and Green Mountain Power's running of the hydroelectric facility. We deliberately did not make a public position until after the public hearing, because we didn't want to sway and we did not want to give the impression or have the role of being an advocate, a political advocate, or lightning rod. And what that has done what that has allowed us to do is to form a really great relationship with the Agency of Natural Resources, in each leg of it, and say, okay, David Mears, I want you to come to our meeting, and I want to clear with you that the communication has to go both ways. And we do the same thing with forests and parks around the remote campsites. We're going to actively engage in you. Here's the line we will draw in the sand, and if you choose to step over it, you can expect some opposition from us on that. But in the meantime, we're going to help to inform and engage the community so that we can solve this problem before you have to take some rulemaking that you don't like.
Yeah, I think it contrasts that, because we worked a little bit together on the Waterbury Dam relicensing. That was a case where we did go, we've been asked to take positions by groups on other things, and we've declined for various reasons, but we took a fairly, for us, strong statement that we supported the agency's proposal. We actually went so far as to say we didn't think it went far enough in terms of protecting to really doing anything for the Little River. So, you know, because far too often the focus was always on what was going to happen to the body of water behind the dam. And it was like, and I think people get that more because they can relate to it. Whereas the Little River coming out of the dam, you know, it's sort of like I hate to say, a who cares resource, which is really, really sad, because it could be a beautiful little spot. So, you know, we weren't, so sort of being on the spectrum there, we did work a lot with the NRC, you know, and we're never going to be quite as vocal as the NRC is, or even TU. I mean, TU can be really, really strong. But we were probably a little, wouldn't you say, fairly, you know, so that's where we're going to pick our issues.
Yeah.
And to us, you know, it was just, you know, everybody's got, you know, sort of a role to play. And I think it was the way we all work together within our own.
And we communicated with each other too, about this is what you can expect of me, and this is what you cannot expect of me.
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like from what you guys are saying too, and I know you also did this survey, so sorry if this is repeat, but it sounds like Sheila is going to be mostly Sheila. So we've got like 7 more minutes until 2 o'clock, and so no, and then it's a half an hour from then, right? We have until 2:30.
2:30, we're good.
And so I'll just like whip through my stuff really quick and then cede the rest of the time to you. Does that make sense? Because I'm going to go second, but I think we spend more time asking questions and actually digging into the meat of it. So at Tucson Action Center, we believe everyone has the right to clean air and clean water. The community should be sustainable, and that our government should operate responsibly and democratically. So we've helped over 750 community groups in the past 28 years now to clean up and prevent pollution throughout New England. And this has really taught us 3 major things. So first of all is that there's lots of reasons to be concerned. You know, there's 82,000 chemicals out on the market, and most of these have been untested on human health impacts. And we're seeing doctors raise the alarm year after year that even small amounts of these chemicals are causing cancers and autism and asthma, all sorts of different things. And that, you know, I think particularly this past year in Vermont, we've, you know, been raising the alarm about blue-green algae, and, you know, hearing the stories of kids putting their canoes in the water and throwing up is just like the classic Toxics Action Center story of the community groups that we work with. And so the second thing we've learned is that when it comes to protecting public health and the environment, that the process of creating change at a local level is a political one. A lot of government agencies who in name should be protecting the health and the environment of their constituents don't, for political or various other reasons, just overworked. So polluters also go to great lengths to avoid taking responsibility for the messes that they create. But the good news is, and the most important thing we've learned over these years, is that even in the face of big environmental threats, powerful special interests from politicians, you name it, that road residents form a group, organize, get together, that they can create change. So most of what we do is starting from these, you know, individuals who give us a call facing a toxic threat. So this is a unique experience for me to look at established organizations and see where there might be opportunity for us to work together. So what I'll outline is some of the program and services that we can offer, and see if there's opportunity for any type of engagement, because what we really work towards is, you know, our vision of how we operate is that there's someone in the government who has the power to push a button in order to change toxic problems, and it's our duty to, you know, help do the research, organize in order to get that person to push that button in order to clean up the toxic threat. So the 4 things that we provide assistance with, we've got in our handout here. Is information, networking, there we go, and our conferences, and we also have just general training. So that's just another type of networking. So first of all is we can provide with information. So researching and understanding the facts of the pollution threat, help with the complexities of local, state, and federal laws, both how they work in theory and how they actually work in practice. So as part of this, we can sometimes, you know, we present reports like this one we did in New Hampshire, and, you know, work with alongside lawyers and scientists, particularly at UVM. We've got a couple good partnerships there for doing any type of information and research that needs to be done. We also most recently have, so it hasn't been on there yet, this is still the draft one here, but we are starting to do them as our statistics for action modules. So this is, you know, math education meets environmental organizing. So we're doing stuff like interpreting test results, doing health studies for community groups, assessing conditions before and after, using maps, measuring and messaging with measuring, health data, just all sorts of different things. And these are all kind of modules that we do. So anyone can look through this if they're interested.
Is that online?
Yes, it's all online as well. It's called Statistics for Action. So, and that's where you'll get like the booklets, and this is just the facilitator's manuals. This is like actually what they would actually look like when you do the workshop. Exactly.
So when you say workshop, do you mean you would come into the community, so like Friends of Waterbury Reservoir could host you
That's
to do a presentation?
how I work. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's really 90% of the work that we do is this community organizing. So I come in with my butcher block with our campaign plan, and we really work through these different workshops. So just to skip forward to these are like the core of our work. We have a series of 8 organizing curriculum that we use with community groups. This one here is the biggest one that we use for our political work.
And those are online too.
These are a little sneaky online. I keep asking them to put in buttons so that you can point right to them, but you can find them online. So the campaign planning is definitely the one that we always try to get groups to start with, because it is just developing your goal, what the different processes that can help you reach your goal, what are the decision makers for those processes, and what is the best button to push in order to get those decision makers to act. And then we have a whole bunch of tactics that are in an appendix in the back there that can just help sway the decision makers. But so just looking at the processes, again, I think just going over this, it looks like a lot of things that people were focusing on were the state legislative processes, but very rarely do we work at that high of a level. A lot of times it's zoning laws, or it's just swaying one select board to vote a different way in town meeting. It's like really
we have a lot of select
that
boards.
you may not think of as being
Yeah.
political, but they are political decisions. And so, particularly in Vermont, it's like all small towns, and it doesn't usually take too much jostling, so it doesn't feel political, but they are political decisions. So that's kind of the legislative one. But then there's also regulatory, legal, and corporate processes. So we're doing a lot of corporate processes right now, which are farmers who have put in a manure pit in the floodplain or something like that. And so totally within the letter of the law, nothing that they can do regulatorily, or they could pass new legislation, but they can't sue, they can't do anything else. So instead, what they do is really put pressure on that farmer to move the manure pit. Something like that is what we call the corporate process in there. So that just also kind of trips people up. And then we also got a whole bunch of other ones. So we've got group building, which is for kind of recruiting and engaging group members. We've got one for fundraising, but probably have a lot more resources there as well. We actually have a full one just for interpreting test results. So it's also in the Statistics for Action. So of using scientific data in order to help get messages and materials across. Public hearings. So which has been really, do a lot at town meeting days, or specific public hearings for different. I'm trying to think of a better example that you guys might. Like when the TMDLs were having hearings, we're trying to get people organized on that. Messaging and materials sound like it might be a useful one for people. Just going through kind of what are the words we should use, what are the words we shouldn't use. Those are problem, solution, action, and urgency for really getting the message across and pulling at people's heartstrings. And then we can use that for media events, so doing public, having events, or just how to talk to the press about certain issues.
We need that.
Yeah, there you go. Take a look at it.
I actually turned down a TV interview last fall
because you're too nervous.
Hi, this is Megan from ABC. No frame of reference for talking to you.
One of the last one is community votes. So this is when there's a vote coming up, either a town meeting day or some other type of vote.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the core of our work here. And then the other things that we can do is the networking and conferences. So we do a lot of leadership development, just one-on-one, almost through phone calls and meetings and things like that. but also of getting people together to work on like-minded issues. So probably not something that we're going to recreate for the Watersheds groups because there's love, which is fantastic. But for things like all the different groups along the Vermont Gas Pipeline route, for example, really pulling together issue-based summits and different things like that in order to cross-pollinate and get different ideas. And then we've also got some partnerships with, NEGF funders. I'm sure these are all things that you've seen before. I forgot everything, so I didn't know what I was walking into. I'm trying to think of what else might be useful to share. And we did used to also have our conference every year. We haven't had it in a couple of years just because they're usually issue specific, and we've just been kind of flying at the seat of our pants for a little while because there's been so much going on. So yeah, that's just a little bit about what we do. What we don't do is we're not lawyers who can represent you in court. We're not scientists who can have examples. But we can help guide you through the best process in order to reach your goals, providing information, experts, and organizing assistance that you may need. So,
Well, let me give you outside of, I think, what I would think of as a traditional campaign or something I want to get engaged with. One of our big projects is in Northfield, and there was a lot of damage during our meetings, and there's been some buyouts. And fortunately, the zoning administrator in Northfield is tireless in terms of what provision for that. So we've been working really closely with her. But the idea is to, and this land has been bought out, so it needs to be held in, open space in perpetuity. So that part of it's a done deal.
right.
But there is so much that can be done with this property in terms of converting it into a real community asset rather than something that they literally throw, well, we'll just brush on it a couple times a year. It's right in town. And it's sandwiched, if you know Northfield at all, between Norwich University and downtown. So one of the things we've talked about as a group, and I've been helping Michelle, the zoning administrator, sort of how do we pull together different interests in the community to use this as a community asset, as an educational opportunity, as an economic driver even for the community, because they're going to have a nice, accessible piece of land right along the river, which a lot of communities don't have. And so a lot of what we're focused on now is, again, it's not the nuts and bolts of, we've got the money to do the hydrologic study, and Michelle's got money to do construction, and, there's so many practical pieces like that put together. But we've got to really work with the community. We've got to get beyond, the 6 or 8 of us that sit around the table and have a great dream for what this can be. And I don't know if that's, so it's not specific to a pollution,
right?
But it sounds like it's sort of in your wheelhouse for organizing.
Exactly. It sounds like it's definitely in our wheelhouse for organizing. I have to learn a little bit more about the actual specifics of kind of what the potential hazards might be. Let's look at this and kind of what the goals would be in order to see if we can get there.
Because have you, in terms of the hierarchy in your town, your zoning administrator is hired by the select board? I presume. I mean, that's what we do. So we have bought out properties also, and I was on the select board, and a couple people came in and we're really not going to do any development. I mean, we have a new thing trying to get community back, and one person wanted to see about developing some playground or access, canoe access and stuff. The previous select board that was there for only a year just put nix on that. So have you worked with your select board?
Well, I mean, first of all, the thing is, it's a difference for us is it's not the Friends of the Winooski.
No, I know.
I mean,
but
I view every town we go into the Winooskis, we're an outsider.
Okay.
Because, I have to view ourselves that way. There's some we're more active in than others. And we do have some friends on the select board. You know, I always describe, I just ask this to stay in this room. Northfield is a bit of a schizophrenic community. I mean, there's towns I go into that, you know, I know they love us and they love everything we say, and, you know, I mean, there's still issues with money and, you know, this or that curmudgeon, but, you know. And then there are towns that I know are really, really difficult. Northfield sort of falls somewhere in between. It sort of has a, you know, this, very conservative college when you think about Northfield. I don't want to derail on this, but we've been working carefully with the town, and I think the leadership of the town, I think if we get the community fired up, I think the leadership will follow the community, you know.
That's always how it happens.
So I think where we're at is figuring out how to get the community fired up about this, rather than this is now this empty piece of land where 8 houses used to stand.
So maybe that's,
Yeah.
community planning.
Yeah. So I do just want to I went over my time that I said I would be, so I want to just
Okay.
make sure that we got through everything, because there's so much good stuff that I want to get.
So Common Good is obviously for the nonprofit side of your business, so we don't do the specific stuff. So I sent out a survey, and you guys may or may not have filled it out, but I wanted to share the results with you. There you go, going back. Okay, so this is on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your commitment to capacity building? And so your folks rated themselves very high on their own commitments, 8.5. The organization, maybe around an 8, that's still pretty high. The board's commitment around a 6.5. Does that resonate with you guys?
My board's a mixed bag.
Mixed
My
bag.
board has definitely gotten
So some are
better.
higher. some
Yeah,
are-
my board has definitely gotten moving to the right, but that's only because there's been some turnover, and it's sort of been known if you come onto the board, this is where we're at, and this is what we're doing. And we did a strategic planning process, a pretty simple one, and I say this as a positive, we had 3 board members resign at the end of that, because they knew the landscape was going to change, that it wasn't just a matter of showing up for a board meeting every other month.
They have to do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
can be a very big
that was
positive change,
that was a very positive change for us.
So next, I just pulled out the highlights from the survey, but this was, one question was, what actions have you taken in the last year on the left-hand side? And develop new partners and pursue new revenue were the top 2.
Is there anything good in there? Focus, or maybe it's just
No,
I
it's
can't read.
no, I know, I was
No,
gonna,
I can't read it.
it's,
And I have trifles.
Okay, so tell us again, what are the top 3?
Top 2 are developed new partners and pursue new revenue.
Okay, that makes sense.
No. It's really clear on my screen. So is that, I mean, from the conversations we've been having, it sounds like money is definitely up there. Then this was areas of focus going forward. So this was kind of last year, this kind of going forward. Communication and marketing and fundraising were the top 2, which totally sounds like right on par with what we...
We're right here.
You guys are very consistent. So no surprises here. Resources for success. So what do you need to be successful? More time and money, which I think definitely speaks to the capacity issue you've spoken about, and more know-how. And that tied in, I think that's maybe the next slide. Top 4, it was top 3, but the last 2 were tied. So fundraising, communications, board government, and management were the ones that kept coming up over and over. This was for me. I asked what do you need, what do you look at when you're choosing a training? So price, proximity to your location, and clarity of deliverables. Top 3.
That makes sense. I've attended a couple of trainings where it was not what I expected. And I don't have time to waste on something that's not what I expected.
Yeah, you guys are part-time or volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, when I initially saw you guys listed on the agenda for today, I said to Ann, I said, I think that, and I don't know much about you guys, I said, I just want to make sure that they understand the size of the groups they're coming to talk to, that these are not,
Massive.
major social
United
service
Ways,
groups.
yeah.
Still bigger than most of the groups we work with.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
my fear was it was going to be,
necessarily have staff.
yeah, and like I said, we're big. We're
It's only
big.
because the Winooski watershed is big, that's all. Your impact is big.
Yeah, I can imagine where you're working at a community, they're even smaller, but that was one of the questions
yeah.
I asked, and that's what I want to know, even
Exactly
though
what we're
I
gonna
actually get paid to do this, I'm with Lori, I want to know what the
Okay.
objective is.
Yeah. It's really helpful for me to know.
Yeah.
So, when we're coming up with these, no. This is not, sorry. This is,
That's all right.
Ah!
I think we could read it.
I think I maybe saved the wrong version of this. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. So going back to that, the first one was about the commitment to capacity building, and then at the end of this already asked folks level of expertise in nonprofit management on a scale of 1 to 10. So the range was from 2 to 7. The average was a 5.6, and the most common response was about a 7. So, this is not a big sample size or anything, but I thought it was interesting that folks felt, they're very committed, but maybe feel like they need to build up their skills in certain areas to feel comfortable with the work they're doing.
And I've just written down for several of these is we get ideas at SEVLA, but we don't get the follow through. So, oh yeah, we've got to do. And
Let's do that.
One board member came in 2 board meetings ago, we're falling apart. We said, what else is new?
Yeah, who's the we, me and the frog in my pocket? I mean,
Hey, I like it.
yeah.
But anyway,
It's a royal week.
we're really committed, but it's
They're not committed though, if they're not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They're committed to the idea.
It's committed to the idea, yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next piece, I just being mindful of time, I want to just show you our website and through that talk about some of the resources and what we do and what possibilities are. So we just redesigned our website. I'm very excited about it. It was not so engaging before. So I've spent the last year changing it. So when you first go on, we have 3 kind of columns when you're looking at it. So we have our events, we have our video, and we have our news and our headlines. So our video is prominent because we are a TV station, right? We produce a lot of shows, which are all very local and can be very relevant. So, if you guys are doing shows at your public access stations and people send me an email all the time, hey, we did this show, I can go and get it and feature it, and it spreads the word and the information that you guys are doing. So that's a really easy way for media. It's free, So I really encourage folks to do that. I just did an interview this week with the Women's Leadership Circles from Marble College. Harry Seacrest came up. We did an interview, and it gets posted. So it's all very immediate and relevant. So at the bottom here are our upcoming events. And through all of these are all links. So it just clicks directly to the article. So I'm going to go back up to the top here. So news is what's happening in the sector, and it's a very similar. That's going to work for me, right? Please.
Oh God. Explore the website.
Well, I'm just going to show you what's on the drop downs. Then I'll skip the page. So we have a nonprofit 101 section. The topics in there are board and governance, fundraising, communication and marketing. And you go in there and you can find a wealth of resources. They're all written by leaders in Vermont that are this is their wheelhouse. So we went out and we talked to Susan Palmer and Jane Van Buren and folks that are, this is what they do, and they helped us develop these pages. So that can be a good starting point, just to like kind of get the direction. If you're looking for something more, deeper, then I can help you with that. One way to get deeper really quickly is to use our search. It's a Google search bar, which I'm very excited about. And I highly recommend if you're doing something more than one word. So if you're going to do like board development, put it in quotes. So then it'll just look for those exact words. And so, let's see, I don't know if it'll work. But we can try.
Look at that.
It's coming.
Well, right there, you're right on the top.
Yeah.
How
So
much did you pay to get that?
it's all free. So Marlborough College announces board leadership. Is your board last year's board development? These are all recent articles we've posted. Revisions is a blog that we follow, and she allows us to reprint her articles, which is we really appreciate. And she's been doing board development for years. So people send us materials, and then we kind of put them back out. No, that's not working, so I'm just gonna let that.
Has Marlborough College announced their nonprofit program for the fall semester yet?
Are they
Nonprofit
doing-
management?
Yeah, the certificate program. I believe they are accepting applications, but I'm not 100% sure. That's a good question.
I gotta get it. It was accepted last year and the money didn't fall into
Deferred.
place, so.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
do it this
Yeah, called Kate.
year. Yeah.
Kate Jelma. Yeah. It's a great program.
That's what I'm hearing.
It is. Everyone that goes
If
through
my
it like,
nonprofit
walks
had
away
money,
being
we
like,
contribute to it.
yeah. I highly recommend it to anyone. I really wish there was one in Burlington, but they do have one in Montpelier, so it's
So
they
it's
finally
not
got something
a
new.
online course?
It's in person. They meet once a month for
I think it's twice a month.
twice a month.
Yeah, I think it's every other Friday and for the semester.
For the semester.
And then it's something like 8 to 1 for
Either in
or 1 day.
Brattleboro or Montpelier.
There's like for every 8 hours you spend in the classroom, there's so many hours of outside class. It's a
Right.
huge time commitment.
It is. They have an online classroom on Moodle where they do a lot of writing and reading.
So you said there's one offered in Montpelier?
Yeah, there's one in Montpelier. It's at the Comfort Suites or something.
I'm gonna do it this fall for sure if I can pull the money together.
How much is it?
I think it's $1,400. It's not a lot of money, and I think they'll match.
If you go for college credit, you're eligible for VSAC grant for adult education.
And if they'll match your NPO's contribution 1-to-1 up to $500, so that's $1,000 right there.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it if you have the time. That's
say.
the balance.
Well, it's a false economy for somebody like me to not do a course like that because I'm going to continue to spin my wheels on fundamentals.
It's so well done. It's nothing compares to it in the state.
Okay.
So now my events page is not loading. But so under upcoming events, I wanted to highlight for you guys, since boards were definitely an issue for you or something that you wanted to work on. We created a series this spring in Burlington. It's our first time doing it. We partnered with Key Bank. They're hosting it for us, and getting the food. So all we had to do was get the folks. It was $15 and to come and do a quick training. One was on RBA, one's on cultivating leadership, and one's going to be on the questions you need to ask for financial reporting as a board member. So it's not in depth, but it starts giving you a network of what other board members are doing. It's a networking opportunity for boards. So an hour and a half, once a month for 3 months. So we're really excited about that, and we want to partner with folks to take it elsewhere. So what we need is a space and some budget for money for food. If people want to do brown bag, we can do brown bag. We've done that before in the past, so that reduces the cost. But we'll get the trainers in the door, and most of them have been donating their time, which is really awesome. So that's one of our upcoming events. Another bigger training that we're doing right now is with Andy Robinson on sustainable funding. And so it's a bit pricey compared to some of our other events. It's $75, but he's incredible. He trains nationally on funding and fundraising. And so we just had our first one in Waterbury last month, and we're having our next one in Waterbury, I think it's next Thursday, maybe Friday, next Friday, I believe, with Suzanne Eikenberry. And so, and that's going to be on financial reporting of board
Yeah,
members.
Suzanne's I do all the bookkeeping, but Suzanne's a consultant.
Oh, okay, great. We were advertising her free workshops in Montpelier, and she said, "You have to stop. It's too crowded."
Yeah.
She's like, "Don't tell anyone." Okay.
So that's on the sustainable funding?
Yeah, Pathways to Sustainable Funding.
Well, that would be Andy, but Suzanne would be the financial report.
Yeah.
So,
And that one with Suzanne is next Friday?
next Friday.
Oh, oops.
And then but we have two more after that. One is going to be on, I can't remember there's one in May and then one in June. It's not letting me load.
Do you try to offer these trainings at varied times? Like someone like me, I'm a state employee, so I'm taking annual leave today in order to be here to support my nonprofit, from which I do not get paid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
Yeah.
trainings have to be at
In the
times that
evening,
don't
yeah.
affect my career.
Yeah. It's a great question. It's something we haven't done in the past.
And
It's
by
something
not
we're
doing that, I think
exploring.
you're missing a huge
Yeah.
constituency.
It's definitely something we're looking at in terms of how we can increase our engagement with folks and our accessibility. I'm working with the Vermont State Colleges right now. They have a lot of facilities that are conducive for learning across the state, and if we can get in, because location is often our biggest barrier. Finding a space that's, in all these communities that has what we need, Wi-Fi and like a space like this. There's not many of them around everywhere. So if we can get into state colleges and offer maybe nights, if weekends, we've never really tried a weekend, but nights.
You're not going to get anybody in the summer and the weekend.
Summers we don't even try anymore. Although Marble College does a nonprofit summer camp, 1-day training, I think it's $50 in August, and it's incredible. And I think you do 4 trainings in a day, and is it 4? Yeah, I think you do 4 trainings in a day, and they're awesome, and they're very well done. But yeah, we're definitely considering that. So we do a lot of job postings, looking for jobs. Are you going to help me with the internet? You're amazing.
Only if you succeed.
Because I Apple preference system. So the posting a job can be useful, even internships or board members. So if you are looking for board members, if you don't have a website, we'll put it up there, and then you can send the link out to folks via email. So that can be a way to easily get the word out about stuff. If you're on Facebook and Twitter, I love when folks tag me at Common Good, and I'll share it. I'll like it. I put it out there. We have about 5,000 followers on Twitter, so and folks are pretty active in Facebook. So we're happy to do that for folks to be like a conduit to get it out.
Do you have a media training, communications training coming up?
We have a few. A lot of our trainings we've recorded. I think it's what we've done in the past is if folks can't make it, we record them all. It's not as interactive. You don't get to ask your questions. But it's all online and they're free. So you can search all our video archives about any topic and find a lot of stuff. So we have done a lot of media, social media stuff in the past. We've started partnering with Idealware, who does a lot of communications and marketing for nonprofits. And so we thought they are the contact creators. They do this really well. Why are we going to reinvent the wheel? So we just started partnering with them. and they've given Common Good readers discounts, 20% off their meals for doing that. So, and those are online webinars, and we have a few of those coming up. So I just have a few more minutes, but I guess I'd say the takeaways for me, and from like listening and trying to like hear what you, respond to what you guys have said, there's no like magic bullet for capacity building, right?
So much for this time.
Right. But really figuring out what the critical areas, find that lever. You think about all the levers of the change that you can make in your org, pick 1, 2, maybe 3 levers and say, this is what we're really going to focus on. What is that success going to look like if we can do it? And then track your progress in that. And we, give me a call, send me an email. We're happy to connect you with specific resources in your area, or send you online materials that we have, trainings, that sort of stuff. And oftentimes it's connecting with other nonprofits that are doing it really well. So if someone's got a website that's really working, like I'm rather than saying, oh, I can do this, I'm going to say, this person's doing it and it's relevant in your field, why don't you talk to this other person and connect you guys. So we can be that convener for that sort of stuff. The internet is not my friend today. So we have a weekly newsletter if you want to stay up to date on stuff that we're doing. It goes Vermont Nonprofit News, goes out every Wednesday morning. You can subscribe online. And then during the legislative session, we do one every Monday. And we do an Under the Dome show at 11 a.m. On different issues. And we get legislators in and lobbyists, and we talk about stuff. And that's a live show. You can call in. It streams live online. So those are 2 ways to stay in touch about what's going on about these issues. And environmental issues come up.
And you've got links off your website here.
To that stuff, yeah. So that's I'd say that's how to continue to convene. I brought bookmarks, which also has all my information on it. So if you guys want to take those. I have to say I empathize with the board stuff because it can be a challenge, right? They showing up for them, they think, okay, I did it. That's my, and I think the membership engagement piece is a similar how to get them so that you can work. And the model I often think about, I'm just going to draw quick here. These guys probably know way more than I do. Is if you think about like a bullseye. If you think about a bullseye, this is like low risk, medium risk, and high risk. So if you want someone to, go and talk to a legislator, that's a high risk activity. Because or talk to the media, right? That is like, I'm really putting myself out there. Or ask for money. That's a high risk activity. So think about what low risk activities you can do first.
Beer.
Like drinking some beer with their friends.
And they'll be more comfortable asking for money.
Yeah. And then maybe take from that activity, at that activity, have enough, introduce an idea that says, we're going to do this, and it's maybe a medium risk. So bring them along in that event to the next one. Is it working? Oh my God.
Yeah, now that we have to go back.
Yeah, now that we're done. So, keep up doing the good work.
Yeah.
This is, how stuff happens in Vermont.
Yeah.
Although it's messy. And we're happy to work with folks. If you have something that's going on in your community and you want us to come in and convene folks, we're happy to do that on a topic or around another event that's happening. We love working with organizations. That's how we mostly get stuff done. So we try not to work alone anytime. It's always with partners. And I'm going to talk with Ann more about, if there's a social media training that we could create. I'm getting an intern from St. Michael's, and her whole love with social media. So
Can I have
run with it. Exactly. So maybe she can put together a training, this summer or something. So she's going to be with us part-time. So that might be an opportunity for a project.
Yeah. I went to one that, who was it? Let's see, somebody offered a social media training that I went to, I don't know, a year or two ago. And I mean, we're still not great at it, but it did help a great deal. Just some really sort of simple things. And we definitely need to do more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the big takeaway for social media is use it, be engaged on it, but it doesn't mean you're actually doing any work, right? It's telling you about the work that you've done. And so there's folks that will just buy friends, or that's totally meaningless, right? So if you have 50 followers that actually follow you, and that's more valuable than 500 followers that never pay attention to anything you're doing.
I love the MailChimp that I use for my newsletter because it'll tell me what
Exactly
the engagement
who's
is.
clicking and where they're going.
And I pay very close attention to that because so far we have consistently been above the national average for nonprofits in engagement. So I learned from that, and where it falls, I look, what did I do differently?
Yeah, what happened here?
Was it more words? Was it confusing? Was it too many sections? I look, so I've learned from that, and I see who's clicking, and I almost never get anybody that unsubscribes. So I think I'm doing something okay.
That's right. Absolutely.
And it's called
MailChimp. MailChimp is your best friend. It's free. MailChimp is free. You can
up to a certain number of.
you can buy bells and whistles that.
But what is it?
It's an e-newsletter.
It's an e-newsletter.
Yeah, so you can have a list of folks and then send out
And
campaigns.
it's one of the things that integrates. So you can integrate MailChimp and Facebook and your website and your Twitter, and they all integrate nicely. If you put the time in to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and that's pretty user friendly.
About how much time, I probably would say a day, do you spend in communications and getting and
I spend about 20 hours a month in communications.
I'd have to look at how I log the time, and it's sporadic. Like I put a newsletter out this week, so I spent a lot of time this week, and we created a Facebook event this week. So there was a lot of time this week. Next week maybe not so much.
Yeah.
because what I have thought about through this whole training today is, I could put up a Twitter or a tweet, and I've never Twittered or tweeted in my life.
Find somebody else who can.
No, and I know that I could do that, but it's also, you got to put it out and you got to respond.
You got to respond. You got to
And that engagement is virtually, I'm going to say impossible for me. I left work yesterday with 75 emails still to look at, and
one of the things I did with the emails is I automatically, by topic, I automatically forward them to someone else in the organization. So if something comes in that says trash data, it automatically goes to Sean. If something's about this, it automatically goes to Sheila. Twitter stuff, Sheila deals with. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to know. If I put something out for Front Porch Forum, I'm doing it for Mooresville, that's where I live. I'll do it for the reservoir, has its own in Waterbury. And I'll send it to Sheila, and she'll send it to Stowe. I'm done. I've done it one time, one message.
But you're still saying that you probably spend 5 hours a week.
Yep, because that's my mission. Communication with my constituents, with the people who are, that's my mission. I can't accomplish anything if I'm not paying the time in communication. We're doing some projects now, but nowhere near the scale of what Anne's doing.
Yeah, and that's where we have to we have to continue to do the projects, because to me that's what has given us our credibility that we've built up over the years. And, this may sound crass, but we've got to cash in on that credibility. And that's what we don't do well. And when I say cash in, I mean getting people to support our mission and support our organization.
You're almost shooting yourself in the foot, aren't you? Because you continue to tell people we're doing this great, we did this, and we did this, and we did this. And I think, well, you don't need me then.
Well,
yeah, you're doing a great job.
My favorite. Why aren't you guys working on this? It's like, why aren't you?
And I think
You seem like the ideal person to lead that project.
put it bluntly, I've pissed people off. I said, when you get people together and you have people that want to work together on that project, I'll come talk to you.
Yeah.
But there's just too much to do for me to beat my head against the wall in places where there's no support. I mean, we can build it up over time.
I just wanted to share, so I schedule most of my Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
So I do it one day, usually for me it's like Friday afternoons. And I'll just set it to go out through the whole weekend and after the week. And then I'll go and check it throughout the week to respond to stuff and to like other folks' stuff and share stuff. But my posts are already pretty much done for the week on Fridays.
So you can just schedule something?
Yeah, so
to go
here,
on?
if you're on Facebook and I write a little message and then I can go to the schedule and it'll tell, I can tell when I want to go out, which is really convenient.
That was the best tip I got on this little social media thing I went to. Now ask me how well I do it, but it's like, okay, now I got another reminder, I need to do that.
And the other, for the same thing, the other thing, she's got the privacy set on Friends. I would set it to public.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is my personal, it's not
Yeah.
public.
And the other thing you would do, which doesn't appear here, is to boost a post.
Yeah.
And I would say, without a doubt, the most efficient,
Yes.
in terms of money,
Yeah.
most cost-effective outreach I do is by boosting Facebook posts. You know,
What does that mean? Thank you for asking.
So for example, in October, Ian and I were both engaged in the discussions with the Environmental Conservation about the management of the Waterbury Dam. It's a hot issue, very hot issue. I probably spent less than $100 boosting Facebook posts to encourage people to get engaged in the
But
discussion.
what does that mean?
You'll actually, in your
Go to my
post,
page so you can
It's
see
sort
it.
of linking to, like, if you have a population of 300
Sorry,
followers,
she's
it'll go to like friends of friends. And you know how you have stuff pop up on your Facebook page?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's because somebody's boosted it.
you pay. So
Yeah.
she clicks
like an
on,
ad.
if you
Yeah,
click
it's
on
like an
boost,
ad.
you can tell it how much money you want to spend. See?
Yeah.
Total
What's my
budget.
total
How many
budget?
days you want to do it?
Yeah, who you want your audience to be, how
Yeah.
many, how long. So it doesn't make sense if it's an event on Friday, I'm not gonna have the thing continue to pay, I'm not gonna continue to pay for it to go next week.
Maybe the next one.
That's been the most cost-efficient way for me to get word out. I'm reaching
It's
people
cheap.
who care. But then you have to be very efficient and very clear about what your message is.
Yeah.
Don't,
Definitely.
you make images help?
Images.
Sometimes I'll
I would
actually.
always put a picture up.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But I get more play out of that. Like, one of my posts in October about the Waterbury Dam issue reached almost 11,000 people.
Holy moly, here's the schedule button on the pages are a bit different. All right, we've gone over, I'm so sorry.
It means we were actively engaged.
So I